Hello, I'm Cap Daniels. Let's continue reading I Am Gypsy. This is Chapter 4, Friday. So much was going wrong, but I was curious about my new situation. Apparently, Knothead was my new sailor, and I was his new boat, and wherever I was would apparently be my new home. Those two factors alone were enough to overwhelm me, but that's not what had my attention. I'd seen other boats like me only once in my life. Sure, there were lots of other sailboats, and most of us looked similar. But to me, to see one that looked so much like me was astonishing. My twin sister was tied up only a few hundred feet away, and I'd beaten her in a race. Well, I can't take all the credit. Knothead and I had beaten her. I wanted to see her up close, and I wanted to race again. My sailor came back, but he wasn't alone, and he wasn't empty-handed. He had a few friends and lots of stuff. He and his friends climbed aboard and set about cleaning and polishing every inch of me. It felt so good. I hadn't been thoroughly cleaned in so long that I'd almost forgotten how it felt to sparkle. I felt brand new again, but I still missed my family. "What's her name, Trip?" someone on board asked. Was Trip Knothead's real name? That's a terrible name for a person. I couldn't call him Trip. I'd stick with Knothead. KH for short. "Her name's Gypsy, and I have no plan to change it." KH patted my wheel and stared up into my rigging. "I think she's going to be happy here in Key West." Key West? So that's where I am. All right, Key West. I can dig that. Now, I want to go. "Let's take her out, Trip." I didn't know who'd said that, but he must have read my mind. "Done," said KH. "Cast off, and I'll fire up the engine." Since KH apparently hated the diesel as much as I did, I knew it wouldn't be running for long. I was right. Just as before, KH backed me out of the slip and kicked my stern around with a quick propeller blast on the rudder, and up went my sails. Oh, I love that feeling. I heeled to starboard and gave KH all the speed I could muster. Fast is a relative term. Even though it may be painfully slow for a powerboat, 7 knots is fast for a sailboat of my size. KH squeezed 7.3 knots out of me, and I felt like a jet airplane. At least I assume that's how a jet airplane must feel. It was great. My new sailor knew exactly how to get the most out of me, and the best of all, he and his friends loved to clean me. I felt a little guilty for being so happy. My family was sad and gone away, but I was having so much fun in the sun and warm water off Key West. Happiness should be celebrated, but mine was tempered with emptiness and loss. I think maybe it was okay for me to be happy, but I did miss my family. And selfishly, I hoped they missed me too. We sailed all afternoon and even stopped at a place called Schooner Wharf Bar, where KH and all of his friends laughed, drank, ate, sang, and pointed their fingers at me while I was anchored in the warm water and sun. I think they were telling people about me and showing them which boat I was. There were so many boats of every shape and size. It was nice to have a sailor who liked talking about me and pointing me out to his new friends. Life in Key West was feeling pretty good. I was enjoying my afternoon swinging around on my anchor rod, a nautical term for a combination of chain and line that connects me to my anchor. Line is a silly little word for rope, but sailors hate the word rope for some reason. Hey, who was I to complain when a whole society of people called mariners, people of the sea, created a language just for me? I was flattered. KH and his entourage came back, but this time they were in a beautiful little dinghy with a shiny silver motor. The motor was much quieter than my diesel. I'll always hate my diesel. It was like a wart on my, well, I'll just stop there. The dinghy was a rigid-hulled inflatable boat, or rib for short. She was beautiful and fast. I hoped we'd keep her. I'd always wanted one of my own. KH helped his friends climb back aboard, and he tied the dinghy painter to my stern cleat. The painter is a small line to keep my dinghy from getting away. You know, kind of like a leash for a puppy. KH reached for the key to start my diesel, and I braced for the noise. Someone said, "Hey, dude, I thought you were a sailor, not a powerboater. A real sailor wouldn't need the motor to get out of here." Ah, a kindred spirit casting down a gauntlet. I knew KH would rise to the challenge. He abandoned the key, looked up at the Windex, and smiled. I felt my head sail unfurl and my rudder come hard over. We were sailing off the mooring. KH was the best sailor in the world, but I was still worried about his hair. We sailed out of the marina with the shiny rib trailing behind me. It was perfect. Everything was perfect. It was a short sail back to the marina in my slip, but it was beautiful. The sunset was a collage of oranges and purples that danced across the Gulf of Mexico like ghostly spirits. The ocean reached up and embraced the sun, pulling it into its depths. And that is when it happened. I'd heard about it, but I thought it was a legend. I had no idea it was real, but I saw it. An instantaneous flash of green just above the horizon as the sun disappeared. It was breathtaking. Did you see that, Gypsy? Did you see the green flash? KH was talking to me. He was actually talking to me. Yeah, I saw it, Knothead. I saw it. I've lived here for 6 years, and that's the first time I've ever seen it, Gypsy. Make a wish, old girl. Anything you wish for after seeing the green flash is going to come true. Anything? I know what I wish for. I wish Penelope was here. Who's Penelope? Is she another boat? I'm your boat. I am Gypsy. Penelope is the most beautiful girl in the world, Gypsy. She's a lot like you. She's a classic beauty. She's fast when she wants to be, and she's soft and slow when she wants. Her eyes, Gypsy. My God, those eyes. They're like the ocean. You wouldn't believe those eyes. And that smile. Man, I miss her. So I can wish for anything? Absolutely anything? And it'll come true? KH pulled off his shirt and rolled it up to use as a pillow. He stretched out on my deck and stared into the darkening sky. The sounds from ashore were a cacophony of chaos. It was steel drums and guitars and people singing and talking. It was all happening, but it wasn't happening together. It was like every sound was battling against every other sound, but KH didn't seem to hear any of it. How can he ignore all that noise? I liked how he just lay there and stared up into the night sky. As the sun sank further and further beyond the darkened horizon, the sky overhead began to twinkle, first with a few faint stars, then finally a canopy of brilliant, glimmering night lights shone as if they were shining just for KH, and for me, and maybe for Penelope, whoever she was. If I can really wish for anything and it'll come true, I think I wish for Penelope to come back to Trip. I think he loves her the way I love my family. And I'd sure love to have them come back. All of them. Especially Tommy. It felt funny thinking of my new sailor as Trip. Yeah, it was just too weird. He'd always be knothead to me. He slept on my deck, and I rocked in the gentle waves of the marina, enjoying my new home and sailor. He was comfortable with me, and I was happy to have him. I had no idea just how happy I could be until the same sun I'd watched disappear before the green flash showed up again on the other side of the world the next morning.